March 19th, the Oval Office. The President of the United States sits beside the Japanese Prime Minister, looks directly into the cameras, and says these exact words. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft equipment is gone. We are flying wherever we want. Nobody's even shooting at us. Nobody's even shooting at us. At 2:50 that morning, hours before those words left his mouth, an American F-35 stealth fighter was hit by Iranian fire over central Iran. The pilot made an emergency landing at an undisclosed base. He is listed in stable condition. The Pentagon knew. Defense Secretary Hegseth knew. He used the word flattened to describe Iran's air defenses that same morning. Flattened. While a $100 million jet was limping to a runway with a hole punched through it. Either nobody told the president, or somebody told him, and he said it anyway. Both answers should terrify you. My name is George, and War Room Economics is about to show you what actually happened over Iranian airspace that night, what the footage really shows, why one word in the Pentagon statement is more alarming than anything Iran has claimed, and why the math behind this single incident could rewrite the future of American air power. Hit subscribe and tap the bell right now because by the end of this video, I'm going to show you how a missile that costs less than your car just humiliated the most expensive weapons program in human history. Like this video. Stay until the end. Let us get into it. Hours after the strike, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps released video through Fars News. The footage is infrared. It shows a tracking system locked onto an aircraft. Then a surface-to-air missile impacts the left side of the airframe. And then comes the frame that changed this entire story. A fluid leak, visible in thermal imaging, streaming from the area beside the engine's heat signature. That is not debris. That is not smoke. That is hydraulic fluid or fuel pouring out of a $100 million engine in real time captured on a targeting camera. Open source intelligence analysts weighed in immediately. OSINT. Technical assessed that the tracking interface generally matches electro-optical and infrared systems known to be in Iranian service. The analyst noted the footage does not appear to be AI generated. The post-impact physics, the fluid dynamics, the thermal signature behavior are too complex for military simulation software commonly used to fabricate combat footage. Now, is this absolute confirmation? No. But this is not the usual IRGC propaganda either. Iran has overclaimed before. They took credit for 3 F-15E Strike Eagles that went down on March 1st. Those turned out to be Kuwaiti friendly fire. They claimed the KC-135 tanker crash in Iraq that killed 6 Americans. CENTCOM said that was neither hostile nor friendly fire. In October 2024, Iranian media circulated images of downed Israeli F-35s that were widely assessed as digitally fabricated. Iran's word alone proves nothing. Their track record is full of lies. But this time, something is fundamentally different. This time, CENTCOM confirmed it themselves. Navy Captain Tim Hawkins, CENTCOM spokesperson, stated that a U.S. F-35 conducting a combat mission over Iran was forced to make an emergency landing at a U.S. base in the region. He confirmed the aircraft landed safely, and then he used one word that should have made every journalist in that briefing room stop breathing. Stable. The pilot is in stable condition. Listen to me carefully because this matters. The military has a vocabulary. Every word is chosen with surgical precision. If the pilot walked away unharmed, the word is uninjured. If the pilot had minor issues, the word is good condition. Stable is the word the military uses when someone is alive, but the situation requires ongoing medical attention. Stable means not getting worse right now. Stable does not mean fine. Stable does not mean walked away. Stable is one level above critical. And then everything else disappeared. The specific F-35 variant, classified. The branch operating it, withheld. The extent of airframe damage, not disclosed. The base it landed at, undisclosed. When the Pentagon has a clean story, they give you details. Press conferences, photos of the pilot shaking hands, a statement about returning to duty. When the details vanish, the story is not clean. What we know is this. A $100 million stealth fighter took hostile fire over Iran. It could not continue its mission. It made an emergency landing. The pilot is not uninjured. And the United States military is refusing to tell you anything else. That silence is louder than the missile that hit it. And the question you should be asking right now is not whether Iran's footage is real. The question is how. How did the most advanced stealth aircraft on the planet, designed to be invisible, equipped with the most sophisticated electronic warfare suite ever built, how did it get hit by a country whose air defenses the Pentagon told you were flattened the same morning? Stay with me, because the answer to that question is the reason this single incident could change modern warfare permanently. Think of the F-35 as a ghost. It was built to be invisible, not to your eyes, to radar. Radar works by sending out radio waves. Those waves bounce off an aircraft and return to the station. That return signal tells the operator something is there. The F-35 was shaped, coded, and engineered from the first bolt to the last rivet to absorb those waves, scatter them, Make them disappear. A $150 million airframe designed so that when radar looks for it, radar sees nothing. A ghost. Now imagine you're trying to catch a ghost in a dark room. You have a flashlight, you sweep the room, nothing. The ghost is invisible to your light. You cannot find it. You cannot catch it. That is radar versus stealth. And for 20 years, that is why the F-35 was considered untouchable. But here's what Iran did. Iran stopped using the flashlight. Iran used a heat sensor. Everything that flies has an engine. Every engine produces heat, and heat cannot be hidden. You can reshape an airframe to scatter radar waves. You can coat it in radar-absorbing material. But you cannot make a jet engine cold. The laws of physics do not allow it. The F-35's engine burns at over 1,000 degrees. The thermal signature is visible to any infrared sensor looking for it. No amount of stealth shaping changes that. Iran deployed what analysts believe is a passive electro-optical and infrared tracking system. Passive means it sends out nothing, no radar beam, no radio signal, no electronic emission of any kind. It just watches. It watches for heat. And when it sees heat, it locks on. This is the critical part. The F-35 carries the most advanced electronic warfare suite ever installed on a fighter jet, the Barracuda system. It is designed to detect radar signals, jam them, deceive them, and neutralize them before the pilot even knows they are there. If a ground-based system sends out a radar beam, the F-35 sees it instantly. The pilot gets a warning. Countermeasures deploy. The system fights back automatically. But a passive system sends out nothing. There is no beam to detect. There is no signal to jam. There is no emission to trigger a warning. The Barracuda suite is looking for a conversation. The passive system is not talking. It is just listening and watching and waiting for the heat. The F-35 was built to defeat radar. Iran hit it with something that does not use radar, a concept older than radar itself, heat detection. A principle so simple that your home security camera uses a version of it, and it just punched through the most advanced stealth technology on the planet. Tyler Rogoway at the War Zone warned about this exact scenario on March 5th. He wrote that Iran has road-mobile air defenses that can hide and pop up out of nowhere, that they operate exotic systems including passive tracking, that pushing manned fighters into direct attack roles over Iran does not mean those aircraft can operate freely. He published that warning 2 weeks before the F-35 got hit. Nobody in Washington listened, and the road-mobile part matters just as much as the passive part. You cannot destroy a launcher you cannot find. It drives to a position. It sets up in minutes. It fires. It drives away. No fixed site to bomb, no radar emission to trace, no satellite signature to track. It appears. It shoots. It vanishes. And somewhere over central Iran, at 2:50 in the morning, one of those invisible launchers fired at an invisible jet. The launcher won. Now let war room economics show you the number that reframes everything. The F-35 program has cost the United States $1.7 trillion. Not billion. Trillion. It is the single most expensive weapon system ever built by any nation in human history. More expensive than the Apollo program. More expensive than the Manhattan Project. More expensive than both combined. $1.7 trillion of American taxpayer money poured into a single aircraft platform over 3 decades. A single F-35 airframe costs over $100 million. The engine alone costs more than most houses. The helmet the pilot wears costs $400,000. The ejection seat costs $500,000. Every hour the jet flies costs approximately $36,000 in maintenance and operational costs. This is not a weapon. This is a flying bank vault. The missile that hit it, an infrared-guided surface-to-air missile fired from a road-mobile launcher. Estimated cost, somewhere between $50,000 and a few $100,000. Let us be generous and call it $200,000. A $200,000 missile just damaged a $100 million aircraft. That is a 500 to 1 cost ratio. Iran spent $1 for every $500 America had invested in the thing it hit. And if that missile had hit 3 feet closer to the engine core, the ratio would not be 500 to 1. It would be infinity, because the jet would be debris scattered across the Iranian desert, and the pilot would not be in stable condition. The pilot would be a star on a memorial wall. For a decade, the cost asymmetry in modern warfare played out at the lower tiers. Cheap drones versus expensive interceptors. $500 quadcopters wasting $4 million Patriot rounds. That was embarrassing enough, but it was survivable because drones are expendable. Pilots are not. Aircraft carriers are not. Stealth fighters are not. What happened on March 19th is the moment cost asymmetry reached the top shelf. The stealth tier. The tier where America keeps its crown jewels. And a missile that costs less than a Ford F-150 just scratched the crown. The United States has approximately 600 F-35s in active service. If Iran can threaten even 10% of sorties flown over its airspace with passive systems that cost almost nothing, The operational math collapses. You cannot afford to lose $100 million jets at a rate of even one per month. The entire fleet is worth more than $60 billion. Iran's entire annual defense budget is roughly $25 billion. One fleet of one aircraft type costs more than 2 years of everything Iran spends on its entire military. That is not a war you win by flying more sorties. That is a war you lose by doing math. And America is doing this math alone. Britain refused to send minesweepers despite a direct request from Trump, who called the UK the Rolls-Royce of allies. Prime Minister Starmer responded that Britain will not be drawn into a wider war. France parked the Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier in the Mediterranean, but will not escort ships until hostilities end. Germany gave a 7-word answer: "This is not our war. We did not start it." The European Union's top foreign policy official said it plainly: "This is not Europe's war. We were not consulted. Nobody came. Nobody is coming." 19 days into this conflict, 13 American service members dead, an F-35 forced down by a weapon that costs less than the pilot's helmet. Strategic petroleum reserves 41% depleted, oil above $100. Not a single Allied warship committed. And a president who went on live television and said nobody's even shooting at us on the same morning. His own pilot was in a hospital bed at an undisclosed location. The F-35 was supposed to be the answer. The invisible fighter that could fly anywhere, strike anything, and come home untouched. $1.7 trillion of certainty. And a country whose air defenses were described as flattened just proved that certainty has a crack in it. The question nobody in Washington wants to ask is not whether this F-35 can be repaired. The question is whether the idea behind it, the idea that stealth makes you untouchable, that invisibility equals invincibility, is the question that just took a missile through its hull over central Iran at 2:50 in the morning. Is the era of stealth over? That is the question. And right now, nobody in the Pentagon is answering it. Now, before you go, drop a comment and tell me this. Do you believe stealth technology still works? Or did Iran just expose the most expensive bluff in military history? I want your honest answer, because the debate in this comment section is sharper than anything coming out of the Pentagon briefing room right now. And share this video with one person who still believes nobody is shooting at us. Show them the footage. Show them the math. Show them what stable condition actually means. 10 seconds of your time. This is War Room Economics. My name is George. I will see you in the next one.